after 1918 and after the Napoleonic Wars. I hope that this book will jog a few memories, for the facts are still important even in a nuclear age. I have confined the preaching mostly to the last 2 chapters. These will seem a little technical, but will, I hope, be found interesting. The remainder of the book describes my personal experiences. My group was lucky to have been closely involved in 2 of the turning points of the Battle of the Atlantic, and doubly lucky because in each case we were allowed a few months' preparation of tough but uneventful escort duty, during which we were able to develop into a well-knit and competent team. If we had met the enemy in such numbers earlier, the result might well have been different. In fact, in retrospect, it all seems miraculous. What would the Naval Staff College appreciation have been in, say, 1934, of a situation in which a convoy of 40 ships with a best speed of 7 knots was preparing to sail westwards in ballast in bad weather, with an escort consisting of 2 destroyers, 1 frigate, and 4 corvettes, which were slower than the opposing U-boats, in which air cover for the convoy was scanty generally and non-existent in the mid-ocean gap, and in which no less than 60 U-boats were deployed in the Atlantic, poised to attack the convoy at one stage or another of its passage. A situation, also, in which the enemy were able to break our ciphers and thus establish the position of most convoys in the Atlantic. I think the staff solution would have been annihilation. But the outcome of the passage of Convoy ONS 5 was very different. I realized at the time, and I realize even more clearly now, how lucky I was to have had such an outstanding team. The captains of the ships were well above average. They were keen, competent, and full of initiative. Their subsequent careers in war and peace, in many parts of the world and in many professions, have been uniformly successful, and as naval officers, as master mariners, as industrialists, and as chartered accountants, all have prospered. I was also blessed with a very good staff. I have been given much help in writing this book, and a list of names would be a long one. But my special thanks are due to the Admiralty Records Office and to the historical sections of the Admiralty and the Air Ministry. Peter Gretton, Wimbledon, 1st of June, 1963. 1. East Coast Convoy. When the war started in September 1939, I left the Royal Naval College, Dartmouth, where I was serving on the staff, at short notice, and after a fortnight's gunnery course to learn about the new form of armament with which I should have to compete, I was appointed First Lieutenant of the Vega, a World War I destroyer, which was being converted to anti-aircraft and anti-submarine A/S escort duties. The start was in the best traditions. My appointment directed me to report to Portsmouth Dockyard to join the ship, but after my Munich crisis experience, I was too wary to be caught by that game again. I took the precaution of ringing up a friend at Pompey first, and found, as I expected, that my ship was at Devonport. During the Munich mobilization of 1938, I had left the West Country by car to join the Vanquisher, which the Admiralty Practical Joke Department had informed me was at Weymouth, and after drawing Portland, Portsmouth, and Chatham blank, I finally ran her to earth, lying at a buoy at Sheerness. On arrival at Devonport, I found the Vega's conversion still only half finished, and a most important month was spent before commissioning. At that time, we all thought that we were going to miss the great battle. Why, I cannot think, because it must have been clear that the war was not going to be a short one. But we spent much time calling on those lucky ships which were operating at sea, and used to listen greedily to their experiences.